morning. Good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing? We're starting a new book today. It's new book day, always very exciting. We love new book day. You know. Boop, boop, a doop. Morning, Naisa. Morning, Becca. Morning, Avery. Yeah, I'm excited too. It's very fun. We're starting brand new fresh with a new book. Whoa, geez, sorry, that was like unnecessarily loud. Oh, you finally got a book, and you caught us, Michaela, you caught us on the day where we're starting a brand new book, so it's the perfect day to join because, it's a new book day. It's very exciting. Morning, Amanda. Morning, Anya. My niece Jasmine really loved her slime. Oh, good. I'm glad. That's all we want, right? We always want anyone we gift a slime to love it the way that we love it. I do have a couple of housekeeping updates, which are interesting. So I spent some time this morning trying to get live access on the other account now that I hit over 1,000 followers over there. I tried the credit card thing. They said that the type of credit card I have cannot be used for this kind of verification. I don't know what that means. It's a credit card that is accepted everywhere. It's a Visa. Why can't it be used to verify my age? You can't have it unless you're old enough to have it. So I should be 18 or older if I have a credit card. I also submitted a claim for the age verification thing because they do not believe that I am over 18 on that account. I don't understand. I've taken a picture with my ID. They asked me to take a selfie with your ID. They still wouldn't verify it. So I've submitted a claim over there and I'm going to try to get it working. I don't understand what they're getting at. Like, I'm obviously over 18. There's no question. I am well beyond 18. I'm double 18, some might say. So I'm not really sure what they think is going on here, but it's been many years since I was under 18. Hey, Kristen. So I'm working on that, which is, something. What was the other thing I wanted to tell you all? I had something else I wanted to tell you. That was thing number 1. What was thing number 2? I DM'd you the details on my custom I'd like for tonight. Sounds good. As long as I have all the elements in-house, we can do it. That's the only thing that becomes hard about customs is sometimes people want things that I don't have in stock and then I have to wait. But as long as it's something that's in stock, it can be done right away. Some people have, special requests and stuff. But as long as it's something I have, that's fine. What kind of ice creamy scents do you have? So generally speaking, I build my own ice cream scents because I find the ice cream scents out in the world to be a little bit lackluster. So I usually use a vanilla ice cream base or a sorbet base, and then I build my own around that. That said, I do have banana split already made, and I do have, no, that's it. That's it. A morning, it just feels like a morning. A morning without you, oh no. My request was all your crumbles. Ooh, you know what, Kristen? I am out of every color crumble except for rainbow. So as long as you're okay with rainbow crumbles, we can do it. But I am 100% out of crumbles. They're coming in the mail from Dope probably in the next week. But I'm out of purple, blue, and pink in solo. So if you're okay, rainbow's perfect. Okay, as long as you're okay with it all already being mixed. I usually have them in solo colors, but I'm literally tapped because we've been using them so much. Luckily, I did order them, but they are not back in stock yet. I do have 2 boxes of rainbow, though, because he knows to send me those ahead, because we use so much of rainbow. Roxy, I'm not sure what you're talking about, honey, but their comments go by that I don't see all the time, especially when I'm running back and forth to the fridge. So I definitely don't respond to everything. It's just not possible on Sasha book reviews. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about, honey. I'm sorry. Sorry. I wrote 7. I don't know what that means. You wrote 7 reviews? I'm not sure. I'm so sorry. I don't know what that means. It was so windy yesterday. Anyone else on Instacart Drama? Yes, I'm on Instacart Drama TikTok. No, on your book review video. I'm a little bit confused, Roxy. I'm so sorry, but don't worry. Nobody's upset or anything. No one's upset about anything, so don't stress about anything. Yes, I'm on Instacart. Found sand in my ear. Oh, that sounds truly awful. Truly, truly awful. Okay, let me just set this down. I know, it's so funny, Amanda. I love it. I love stuff like that. I'm all about those videos. They find them very entertaining. I laugh. I follow along, all that jazz. Guys, we got a new book today. Look at this. Who's excited? Sand belongs on the beach and only the beach. Liar. Sand also belongs in slime. I'm on food delivery driver drama TikTok. I think that's similar to Instacart Drama TikTok, right? Similar-ish? Probably. Yes, it's very exciting. We're brand new book today. Grubhub and such. Oh no, I haven't done that one. I'm not on that one. Yeah, I was thinking after this book we should read Chris's other book that I had already downloaded. What do you guys think? I think probably, right? Since I already downloaded it, we might as well just read that other one. Seems fun. One driver literally gave the food to a homeless person instead. Okay, well, I see what you're doing there with the homeless person thing, but like, it's not really yours to give. Weird. I'm reading a novel by Ashley Poston right now. Oh, I don't know that author. I've never heard that name before. Very interesting. Was it Gary? Wait, Sloth, the fact that you know the name is amazing. Was it Gary? That's funny. Well, I thought I had more things to tell you guys, but now I seem to have forgotten all the things. Oh. Fair enough. Wait, Amanda also knows Gary? Guys, this is crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so let's get into it. Oh, I remember now what I want to tell you. Also, everyone knows Gary, Danielle? I don't know Gary. I know someone named Gary, but he's not an Instacart or any of those things driver, so not him. He doesn't even have a car. Speaking of sand slime, your most recent with the sunscreen was so on point. Thank you. Everyone really seems to like that. So the YouTube issue was the other point of order that I wanted to talk about. The only Gary I know is a snail. True. I emailed or got on the chat with YouTube yesterday because obviously, as you guys probably noticed, not all of the YouTube lives or the book club lives have been uploaded to YouTube, and that's because it won't do it. It like defaults to shorts right now. And so I got on chat with YouTube and I was like, here's the issue, and I showed them all the examples of what was happening, and they were literally like, we've never seen this before. We're gonna have to get back to you via email within 24 hours. We're so sorry. Like, they were like, this is a new glitch. And I was like, oh cool, I discovered a new glitch. I didn't want to discover a new glitch, but apparently I did. So they're gonna fix it and get back to us. I have the episodes downloaded, waiting to be uploaded. They're just sitting in my phone, taking up space because they're all almost an hour long. Yeah, they were like, wait, you have tons of videos uploaded. I was like, yeah, but if you look, they're all more than 5 days old. It hasn't let me do this in like 5 days. And they were like, this is very strange. I was like, yeah, it's the sausage. I know, I'm a glitch. If you're gonna run into issues, make them new. I guess that's true. Yeah, I really am Vanellope von Schweetz. I'm a glitch, it's true. So that was the other thing I wanted to tell you. Hey, Tressa. I just wanted to make sure you all knew I wasn't forgetting to upload those. It literally won't let me upload more than a minute at a time right now, which is not useful for a book club because book clubs are usually 45-ish minutes. So I just wanted to make sure you all knew that it wasn't a forget, it was a, you know? So that's that. If anyone is looking for book recommendations for the month of July, I posted my reading wrap up. Oh, yay, that's exciting, Danielle. And today's new book day, so it's perfect. Another glorious morning. It's hideous. Sasha in your cup. If you go over to my other page, I did a June reading wrap up, and you can hear which books I liked and what I didn't like and what I liked about them and all that. Of course, Danielle, anytime. So a lot of great books. Get out of my cup. Why? I don't really want to get out of your cup. Man, technical difficulties like you. I mean, they really do, Avery. It's like, is there like something about me that just like, I don't know, in other stupid news, I got bit by 3 horseflies. That sounds awful. Oh, there's sugar in your cup. Well, I can like bathe in sugar. I just can't eat it. Just like it can touch my skin. I use sugar scrubs. It's okay. Not gonna hurt me. It doesn't like seep into your system. I don't think. I use sugar scrubs. Just don't ingest it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay. All right, so I wanted to show you guys the cover of this before we start because I think this is Lucy, Bristol, Xanthos, and Emeralda, I think, is what I'm gathering here. And it's just cool to see them, you know, drawn. It's not really how I imagined them at all, but that's cool. This, I assume, over here is the Army of the Dead. I don't know what this is in the middle. And this is a dragon that we haven't met yet. So, you know, that's something. They looked so different in my head too, Sloth. When I saw this, I was like, huh, that's not at all what I pictured for any of them. So, anyway, that's it. Try making a library card design for Tale of Magic. How do you do that? You can have your own designed library card? Mine's digital, so I guess I don't have one anyway. Okay, let's get into it. A Tale of Sorcery, Day 1. Dedication. To all the caretakers out there who are fighting for our planet and its inhabitants, thank you. And then here's a map. The library designs are, oh, that's really cool, Roxy. We don't have that. Here's the map. So we have the Western Kingdom over here, the Dwarf Territories. This is the Righteous Empire with Chariot Hills in it. So I guess this was formerly the Southern Kingdom. Elf Territory, Northern Territory, Eastern Kingdom. And the Celeste Weatherbury Memorial Academy of Magic is over here. Goblin Territory is over here. Yeah. All right. Well, that's what we know. That's what we know. As always, we start our books with a prologue.
So, creatures from the deep. You guys remember when we read the very first prologue in the very first Land of Stories? I got chills. It was so good. Oh God, I love it. I'm not always into a prologue, but when it's from Chris, I'm into a prologue. Creatures from the deep. The woman was woken by the sound of footsteps. It was still dark when her eyes fluttered open and lazily drifted toward her bedroom door. However, the disturbance wasn't coming from the hall beyond her chambers, but from behind a colorful mural on her wall. She immediately sat up in her large bed, wide awake. Just one other person knew about the secret entrance to her bedroom, and their presence could mean only one thing. A frantic knock came from inside the wall.
"Ma'am?"
A gruff voice asked.
"Are you awake?"
Yes, come in, the woman said. The secret door slid open and a man covered in dirt peered inside the room. His sunken eyes were wide with excitement and his body was stiff with fear. Well? The woman asked impatiently. The man nodded slowly, still in disbelief of the news he was about to share.
We found it,"
he said breathlessly. The woman flung off her bedsheets and jumped to her feet. She threw a robe over her nightgown and stepped into a pair of slippers and charged through the secret door. The man escorted the woman down a hidden corridor that snaked between the walls of her spacious residence. The corridor led to a steel staircase that spiraled through the floors below and into the ground beyond the basement. The duo descended the steps at a feverish pace, causing the stairs to sway and creak. At the bottom, they entered an enormous man-made tunnel that wove through the earth like a hollow root of a gigantic tree. It stretched for miles and miles underground, reaching depths humanity had never been meant to reach. The tunnel was an extraordinary achievement and had taken centuries to construct. If it hadn't been shrouded in complete secrecy, it would have been considered a wonder of the world. But once someone entered the tunnel, very few were permitted to leave. The dirt walls were lined with the graves of all the unfortunate souls who had died while digging it and all the people who had threatened to expose the project. The man and the woman spent hours climbing deeper and deeper, never stopping for a moment of rest. The man's lantern barely illuminated the ground below their feet as they trekked through the infinite tube of darkness. The further they went, the hotter it became, and their clothes were dampened with perspiration. A smoky stench of scorched earth filled the air, making it difficult to breathe. The pressure increased too, causing their eardrums to throb and their noses to bleed. But still, the pair pressed on, too determined to stop.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Boom, boom.
At 5 miles below the Earth's surface, a faint noise echoed from ahead.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Boom, boom.
The sound increased with every step they took. It thumped in a constant rhythm as if they were approaching the Earth's beating heart.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Boom, boom.
Eventually, they saw a bright light that strobed with a thunderous beat. Against the light, the woman could make out a silhouette of people standing in a row. Their thin bodies were chained together and they clutched shovels and pickaxes in their trembling hands. These prisoners turned slaves were the last generation of diggers that the tunnel would ever need, because they had just made one of the greatest discoveries in recent history. The diggers were frozen with shock as they stared ahead, but the woman stepped past them and gazed with fearless wonder. They were facing a pair of double doors that were over 200 feet tall and 100 feet wide. The doors were made from iron that glowed bright red from heat behind it. Something very big and very hot was trying to escape through the doors, but the handles were bound shut by a monstrous chain. As the doors were pushed, the flames and magma spewed out from between the cracks, offering glimpses into the world of fire and chaos beyond them. At last, the woman gasped, "We found the gates to the underworld."
Ma'am?
Her exhausted and sweaty companion asked, a nervous quiver in his hoarse voice. What do we do now?" The woman's eyes went wide, and a devious smile grew across her face. She had been waiting not just one, but several lifetimes for this moment. "Open them," she ordered. Well. The gates to the underworld. Chapter 1. The Righteous Empire. It had been almost a year since the Southern Kingdom's last sunrise. The citizens would never forget the horrifying afternoon when Prince Seven Gallivant marched his righteous army of the dead through the countryside and took Chariot Hills by storm. There, the prince sat upon his late grandfather's throne in the Champion Castle and declared himself not the new king of the Southern Kingdom, but the emperor of the new righteous empire. Unfortunately, there was nothing anyone in the Southern Kingdom could do to stop him. It was well within the prince's legal right to change his newly inherited kingdom however he wanted, but not even his most loyal followers could foresee the horrors that he had in mind, and soon they began to resent the monster that they had helped create. The emperor's first act was to dissolve the Southern Kingdom's military and replace it with the army of the dead. His second act was to strip the justices of all their powers and give their positions to the clansmen in the devoted righteous brotherhood. Third, the emperor eradicated the Southern Kingdom's constitution and created a new one based on the principles of the brotherhood's oppressive righteous philosophy. Under the new laws, all schools and churches were shut down. The only thing citizens were allowed to study or worship was the emperor himself. All the markets and shops were boarded up. Food and supplies were now distributed at the emperor's will. And all the creatures talking, elves, dwarves, trolls, goblins, and ogres, were exiled to their respective territories and banned from returning. The borders were permanently closed and any communication with the outside world was strictly forbidden. The emperor also placed his entire population under harsh curfews and social restrictions. No one was allowed to be outdoors from dusk until dawn. Citizens needed permission to travel beyond their homes, and it was illegal for people to gather with anyone outside their immediate family. Additionally, all forms of creative expression such as art, music, and theater were outlawed. The only clothes the citizens were allowed to wear in public were drab black uniforms that the emperor provided. Private residences were routinely searched for money, jewelry, weapons, and other valuables, and they were taken as donations to the emperor. The emperor's dead soldiers patrolled the streets day and night to make sure the new laws were being followed, and the walking corpses weren't shy about making grotesque examples out of people who disobeyed. So the citizens stayed in their homes to avoid trouble, all the while praying for something or someone to liberate them from this new nightmare. However, the most severe change to the Constitution was the law regarding magic. The empire sentenced people to death for even sympathizing with the magical community. The broad decree gave the emperor the right to imprison anyone he thought might be supporting his magical enemies. In the months following the emperor's succession, the army of the dead rounded up over 100 magic sympathizers, and they were quickly sentenced to hang without any evidence or trial. Strangely, although the verdicts were rushed, the actual executions were put on hold. The emperor never gave an indication of what he was waiting for, but he secretly was saving the executions for a very strategic occasion. Yeah, seriously, Naisa. Whatever happened to good morning, my name is. He needs to chill the F out. He's ruining everything. He's literally ruining everything. That's not an exaggeration. In his first weeks of power, the emperor demolished the University of Law in the Chariot Hills town square and constructed a massive Colosseum in its place. The Colosseum towered over the other buildings in the capital, and it had enough seating for thousands of people and was purposely built with 2 entrances, making it difficult to enter and exit. The project was finished just 2 weeks before the Righteous Empire's 1-year anniversary. Oh, it's been 1 year, you guys. On the evening of its completion, the emperor ordered the citizens of Chariot Hill to the Colosseum to witness the delayed execution of the magical sympathizers. The Righteous Brotherhood, dressed head to toe in their ghostly silver uniforms, armed with their glowing bloodstone weapons, herded the tired, hungry, and dejected citizens into the Colosseum. The emperor was already there when his people arrived, standing in a private balcony at the top of the Colosseum. He radiated crimson light thanks to his bloodstone suit, cape, and crown that curled around the sides of his face like the horns of a ram. Yeah, that's true, Avery. That's a very good point. Do you think that she already found? That's a very good point, Avery. She was only supposed to have a year. He definitely chose violence. 7 woke up and he chose violence this morning. And every morning for the last year, apparently. That's very strange, Avery. You're absolutely right. What does that mean for us? Has she already found the woman and the potion and thing and we just don't know it? I don't know. The emperor never looked down as his citizens filled the seats. He only had eyes for the land surrounding the Colosseum. He held a pair of binoculars tightly against his eyes, scanning every inch of the horizon and every patch of the evening sky. Your Greatness, the Emperor's High Commander bowed as he stepped onto the private balcony. The citizens are seated and the soldiers are in position, sir. And the archers? Seven asked. Stationed through the Colosseum on every rooftop in the capital. And the entrances? Completely surrounded, sir. The High Commander said, I'm confident we've created the most secure structure in the world. Watch her only have a month to find her because Chris wants us stressed. I think the woman at the beginning was the woman she needs to find. I think you're right, Avery. I think you're right. I just don't know, a year passing is a long time between books. Usually, like, in Land of Stories, the time between the books was, except between, like, the first book and the second book, there was a year. But, like, the ones at the end where there were cliffhangers, it was, like, a couple weeks. I trust him, though. I trust him. Secure enough for her, High Commander, Seven pressed. Oh, if she finds a way inside, she won't get out alive. Seven grinned under his binoculars, but didn't lower them. Good, he said. Let's begin. The High Commander hesitated. Sir, are you certain that she'll show? Given the extra securities, it would be extremely risky for her. Trust me, High Commander. She'll take the bait. Seven said, now proceed. I've waited long enough for this moment. With that, the High Commander turned on his heels and faced the center of the Colosseum. At his signal, two clansmen began turning a lever, and a heavy cage door opened behind them. More clansmen came through the door, escorting over 100 prisoners from the dungeon below ground. The hands and feet of the magical sympathizers were wrapped in thick chains, and they could barely shuffle forward as the clansmen shoved them into the arena. Although the citizens wanted to scream at the sight of their friends and family in chains, they remained as quiet as possible. Still, a few cries did escape their lips and echoed through the quiet Colosseum. Start with the Evergreen family, Seven called over his shoulder. 5 clansmen plucked the 5 members of the Evergreen family from the long line of prisoners. Justice Evergreen and his wife, their sons Brooks and Barry's wife Penny, were all dragged up the steps of the tall wooden gallows and placed in a row behind a single noose. The citizens were impressed by how stoic the Evergreens remained. Some of them even seemed eager to be there. Mrs. Evergreen eyed the noose with a wide and creepy smile. Penny was so excited she was practically buzzing. Brooks gave a thumbs up to the people in the crowd. How dare you treat us like criminals, Justice Evergreen shouted. For God's sakes, I'm a justice of the Southern Kingdom. I've devoted my life to preserving the law. No. You were a justice of the Southern Kingdom, Seven scoffed. And soon you'll just cease to exist. Shall we start with the former justice, my lord? The High Commander asked. No. Hang the younger brother first, Seven instructed. If that doesn't get the fairy godmother's attention, nothing will. The clansman pushed Barry forward and fastened the noose tightly around his neck. Oh, woe is me, Penny cried. I can't believe that I'm about to watch my husband's death. What a cruel world. Don't worry, Penny. Barry could barely speak with the rope around his throat. It'll all be over soon. Please show him mercy, his wife pleaded. I suppose in some ways hanging him is rather merciful, Brooks said. It's much quicker than being burned, drowned, crucified, or boiled, and it isn't nearly as messy as beheading, impaling, drawing and quartering, crushing by stone. Psst, Brooks, Justice Evergreen whispered. Zip it, it's not your turn to speak yet. Oh, sorry, Brooks whispered back. I didn't realize I said that out loud. Well, I agree with my son, Mrs. Evergreen announced theatrically, making sure everyone in the Colosseum could hear her. You call this a public execution? I've been to tea parties more menacing than this. Come on, Emperor. You can do better. Give us blood. Give us suspense. Give us absolute terror. Mrs. Evergreen stared up at the Emperor with large, exhilarated eyes, as if she was daring him to order a more gruesome death for her son. Justice Evergreen groaned and gave his family members a dirty scowl. Guys, we agreed to stick to the script. Stop going rogue. You can't expect a mother to remain silent at a time like this, Mrs. Evergreen proclaimed. I want the best for my son, and that includes his execution. Justice Evergreen winced and slapped an open palm against his forehead. Had I known that you were going to act like this, Mrs. Evergreen, I would never have asked you to be my wife, he grumbled. Everyone just shut up. I will do the talking from now on. The observing citizens found the family discussion peculiar. Confused looks were exchanged throughout the Colosseum. Even the righteous brotherhood were scrunching their foreheads under their masks. The Emperor, on the other hand, wasn't paying any attention to the other evergreens. He had other concerns. Something's wrong, Seven muttered to himself. She should be here by now. Her favorite brother is seconds away from death, and she's nowhere to be found. The Emperor's heart was racing with anticipation. His feverish eyes scanned the horizon with binoculars, worried that he'd missed something. All right, hang him on 3, the High Commander called to the gallows. No, this can't be right, Seven thought. She would rather die than let her family perish. 1, so where is she? Why hasn't she flown in to their rescue? What is she waiting for? 2, unless Seven said as he was struck by a thundering thought, she's already here. 3! The Emperor spun around and faced the gallows. The floor dropped out from beneath Barry's feet, and his body fell straight through the wooden platform, and the horrified crowd gasped. However, the prisoner's neck didn't snap as expected. Instead, Barry Evergreen's neck began to stretch like a rubber band until both of his feet touched the ground, and the citizens throughout the arena screamed, and even a few fainted. That's not Barry Evergreen, Seven shouted from the balcony. The jig is up! Just as Evergreen told his family, it's time to go! Suddenly, the chains wrapped around the Evergreen family bodies evaporated into thin air. The family pulled the skins off their faces and the hair of their heads. They had been wearing enchanted disguises the entire time. As the wigs and masks were removed, the imposters' true identities were revealed. Justice Evergreen was a chubby young woman with white feathers for hair. Mrs. Evergreen was an enormous doll with buttons for eyes and burlap flesh. Brooks was a walking plant with chlorophyll skin and leaves growing from its scalp. Penny had wings and bulging eyes and a stinger like a giant insect. As if his skull was made of clay, Barry's head slipped completely out of the noose, and when he removed his disguise, he turned into a young woman with whiskers and a skunk tail. I was like, these don't sound like them. I don't know if I could read the books myself now. Sasha and the voices make it the best. I'm glad you like the voices because I like doing them. But it is funny. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I changed all of the Evergreen voices just a little because the way that he wrote them didn't look like the way they were written in the previous books. I was like, wait a second. Something is wrong. Yeah, well, Penny was not talking like Penny. I was like, something is awry here. Me too. I'm glad the little witches are still with them. We've been deceived by witches, Seven screeched. If that wasn't enough to shock the crowd in the arena, the 5 clansmen at the gallows abruptly flung off their silver uniforms, and 5 very colorful young people appeared. The first was a young man in a metallic golden suit with fire burning off of his head and shoulders. The second was a young woman with curly dark hair who wore a robe made of gleaming emeralds. The third was a girl with bright orange beehive on her head and a dress made of dripping patches of honeycomb. The fourth was a girl in a sapphire bathing suit whose hair flowed down her body like a continuously flowing waterfall. And finally, the 5th was a beautiful young woman in a sparkling pantsuit wielding a crystal wand. It's the Fairy Council, Seven roared. Kill them all. The archers throughout the Colosseum aimed their crossbows at the newcomers. Bristol Evergreen pointed her wand at Stitches, Sprout, BB, and Pip, and their broomsticks appeared in their hands. The witches hopped aboard the brooms and flew in circles around the arena. The citizens and the clansmen ducked and dived out of the way as the witches looped through the air mere inches above their head. The motions discombobulated the archers, and they didn't know where or who to shoot first. Fools, don't let them distract you, Seven ordered. Fire at the Fairy Godmother. She's the priority. Xanthos, Skylene, can you give me some steam? Bristol said. A fiery jet erupted from Xanthos' outstretched palms, and a geyser of water sprayed from Skylene's index fingers. The fire collided with the water, creating an enormous cloud of steam. Bristol waved her wand, and a strong wind blew the steam around the center of the Colosseum, blocking the fairies and the prisoners from the archer's sight. Why aren't you shooting? Seven screamed. Sir, the archers can't see where they're firing, and we do still have men down there, the High Commander said. I don't care who or what they hit, just fire, Seven ordered. The archers fired their crossbows and bloodstones, and arrows whizzed through the center of the Colosseum, barely missing Bristol and her friends. The clansmen among them tried to use the prisoners as human shields. Bristol waved her wand, and cowardly clansmen joined the cloud of steam whirling around the fairies as they were caught in a powerful tornado. The archers lowered their crossbows, afraid they might hit their fellow clansmen. The Emperor howled with rage at the Brotherhood's incompetence, and he dashed to the other side of his balcony and called to the dead soldiers patrolling the entrances. Guards, get in here and attack these heathens. Not a single witch or fairy leaves this Colosseum alive. Emeralda, quick, can you free the rest of the prisoners from their chains? Bristol instructed. While the army of the dead rushed inside, Emeralda dashed from prisoner to prisoner and turned their chains into weak talcstone, and they crumbled off their hands and feet. "Hey, Lucy! Tangerina, block the entrance before the soldiers get in," Bristol said, and the girls raced to the entrance on opposite sides of the Colosseum. Lucy hit the ground with a fist, and a giant crack zigzagged through the earth. The crack hit the first entrance like a bolt of lightning, causing the doorway to implode before the dead soldiers could get through it. Tangerina sent her swarm of bumblebees into the second entrance, and the bees doused the approaching soldiers in honey, sticking them to the floors and walls. Soon, the entrance was jammed by sticky skeletons. The entrance is a block, but that means so are the exits," Lucy announced. "How are we going to get these prisoners to safety?" "Leave that to me," Bristol said. Bristol pointed her wand at the prisoners, and each one's body was surrounded by a giant bubble. To the prisoners' amazement, the bubbles rose into the air, carrying them high into the evening sky. Once all the prisoners had floated out of the Colosseum, Bristol pointed her wand at Emeralda, Xanthos, Tangerina, Skylene, Lucy, and then waved it around herself. She and her friends joined the prisoners in bubbles of their own, and Stitches, Sprout, BB, and Pip followed along on their broomsticks. After the fairy's departure, a cloud of steam in the arena slowly faded away, and the whirling clansmen were dropped onto the ground. The citizens cheered for their escape, but then quickly fell silent, remembering that such sympathies were illegal. The emperor was so enraged to see the fairies and the witches floating away with his prisoners that he began foaming at the mouth.
"High Commander, alert the archers in the city," he ordered. "If you let those fairies get away, I will have your head on a platter." Yes, my lord," the High Commander said.
The High Commander blew a horn to notify the archers positioned on the rooftops throughout the capital. The archers were quick to comply, firing hundreds and hundreds of bloodstone arrows as the escapees drifted over the city. The bubbles were pelted by the arrows, which caused many of them to pop and the prisoners to fall from the sky. Bristol waved her wand and restored their bubbles, but she really couldn't keep up. "Stitches, Sprout, BB, Pip, can you please help me catch them?" The witches immediately dived through the air and caught the falling prisoners just moments before they hit the ground. Unfortunately, the archers' relentless attacks showed no signs of slowing down, and the witches quickly ran out of space on their broomsticks.
"Yes!" Seven cheered as he watched the bubbles burst. "They'll never make it out of the capital. They're going to drop like flies."
"Emeralda," Bristol called over her shoulder, "can you call for backup?" Emeralda nodded and pressed a small emerald whistle against her lips. She blew the whistle with all her might, and a sharp tone echoed through the sky.
Sir, look," the High Commander said. "Something's approaching the capital."
The emperor peered into the distance, and every ounce of celebration drained from his spirits. An enormous black shadow appeared on the horizon, moving through the air like a veil caught in the wind. As the shadow flew closer and closer, the emperor realized it wasn't just one object, but thousands moving together. He raised his binoculars for a closer look and discovered a massive flock of griffins had entered the city. The magical creatures soared between the buildings of Chariot Hills and attacked the archers throughout the capital. They knocked the clansmen off the rooftops with strokes of their wings. They ripped crossbows out of the men's hands with their beaks, and they snatched handfuls of bloodstone arrows with their claws. The archers were completely caught off guard by these majestic beasts and abandoned their posts. When the griffins assaulted the clansmen, the fairies and witches and prisoners drifted away from Chariot Hills. Once they were out of the archers' reach, the magical creatures joined the procession of bubbles, and they all soared safely into the horizon.
"No!" Seven roared as loudly as the entire city could hear him. "How is this even possible? How could we let them escape again?"
The High Commander gulped and took a cautious step back.
"My sincerest apologies, my lord," he said. I thought our plan was foolproof."
The Emperor's binoculars began to crunch under his tight grip, but he suddenly went very still and very quiet. His fury was interrupted by something strange that he had spotted in the sky.
"Wait a second," Seven said.
"Where did the fairy godmother even go? She and the fat witch aren't with the others." The Emperor scanned the horizon over and over again, but Bristol and Lucy had disappeared.
"Your orders, my lord?" the commander asked. "Gather your men and search the city at once," Seven commanded. "They're still here."
Bristol and Lucy's bubbles descended into Chariot Hills Town Square and popped on impact. As soon as they landed, Bristol took off running and Lucy sprinted after her.
"Well, the rescue was a smash, but the rest of the performance was a complete flop," Lucy grinned. "I guess that's what I get for casting the amateurs. There's nothing worse in show business than a novice who thinks they can improvise."
Bristol abruptly stopped in her tracks, and she looked around like she was lost. She barely recognized the city that she'd grown up in. All the buildings were covered in silver banners bearing the Emperor's face or the Righteous Brotherhood's white wolf symbol, and all the doors and windows were boarded up or chained shut. All the statues and tributes to past rulers had been removed or demolished. The streets were also covered in large piles of ash, although Bristol couldn't tell what had been burned. Smoky haze still lingered in the air, making it hard to see more than a few yards in each direction.
Hey, Bristol, what's wrong? Lucy asked. Why did we stop moving?
Everything looks so different. I can't even tell which building is which anymore, she said.
Is there a town directory somewhere?
No, but maybe I can make one. Bristol closed her eyes and visualized the Chariot Hills from her childhood. She waved one arm in a large circle, and thousands of tiny lights emanated from the tip of her wand, as if she was spraying the streets in a glittery mist. However, the lights didn't stick to the buildings as they were now, but recreated the city as Bristol remembered it. After she opened her eyes and got her whereabouts, the lights disappeared. "The library's over there," she said. "Follow me. We don't have much time." Bristol grabbed Lucy's hand and pulled her toward the building with the glass dome at the far end of the town square. Just like the other buildings, the library was covered in silver banners, but like the others, the library's front steps were surrounded by a tall metal fence, and a sign was bolted to the fence that read,
"Subjects beware. Under Section 2 of the Emperor's Righteous Constitution, this building is officially closed to the public. Unauthorized access is forbidden. Trespassers will be sentenced to death."
The warning made Bristol's blood boil. She blasted the fence with her wand, and then Lucy hurried up the front steps and kicked the doors open. As soon as they stepped inside the dark building, Bristol's stomach turned. The library had been ransacked beyond recognition. All the furniture was knocked over, and the seat cushions had been ripped apart. The large silver globe that once stood regally in the center of the first floor now lay in pieces across the carpet. And most horrifyingly of all, every bookshelf in the 3-story library was empty.
"Slim pickings,"
Lucy said. No, this isn't right, Bristol said. "This place used to be full of books."
"Yeah, well, what do you think happened to them?" Lucy asked.
"Seven must have hidden them somewhere," she said. "Let's have a look around and see if anything is left behind." Bristol and Lucy wandered through the aisles of the spacious library like rats in a multi-level maze. Unfortunately, not a single page had survived the Emperor's Purge. Even the Justice's secret chambers, which Bristol had discovered when she worked as a maid, was completely vacant. Defeated, Bristol began pacing a window on the 3rd floor. Her gaze drifted towards the town square outside, and her whole body went tense. It had suddenly dawned on her what had created all the ashes in the street. Seven didn't hide the books. He burned them, Bristol said in disbelief.
"I'm confused," Lucy said. "Why would Seven burn a bunch of books?"
Bristol sighed and shook her head. "Because reading inspires thinking, and thinking inspires ideas, and ideas inspire change, and nothing threatens a tyrant more than change."
Lucy groaned and made fists with both her hands. "God, I hate that guy," she declared. "Just when I think it is impossible to loathe someone more, he always proves me wrong."
"Luckily, books can be replaced," Bristol said. "Well, most books can be replaced."
Lucy gulped. "Do you think it was destroyed with the others?"
"Honestly, I doubt it was even here to begin with. A book like that would definitely have caught my attention when I was a maid, and I don't remember seeing anything even remotely like that, not even in the Justice's private collection."
"Yeah, but this is the only library we haven't searched. If it isn't here, then where is it?"
Bristol went quiet as she asked herself the same question. However, her train of thought was interrupted by a strange red light that began to glow around them. She and Lucy turned around and saw the righteous Emperor standing at the end of the aisle. His bloodstone wardrobe radiated crimson light through the dark library, and his unwavering scowl radiated pure hatred. Seven! At first, Bristol was glad to see the Emperor. Part of her wanted to believe that Seven was the dashing young prince who had swept her off her feet, not the dangerous young man who had tried to kill her.
"I'm guessing your real family is alive and well," Seven sneered.
"Yeah, they've been safe and sound for months," Bristol said. The Emperor's mouth curved into a sinister grin, but the hatred never faded from his eyes.
"I have to give credit where credit is due," he said. "That was quite a stunt you pulled off at the Colosseum.
Sadly, your most impressive charade
will be your last."
The Emperor snapped his fingers and was joined by his High Commander and the Righteous Brotherhood. The clansmen backed Bristol and Lucy into the wall at the very end of the aisle. Bristol desperately wanted to wave her wand and knock the men across the library, but she knew her magic was useless against their bloodstone weapons. With his guards in place, the Emperor strolled toward the girls and looked Bristol closely in the eye.
"Tell me, Bristol,
exactly how many lives do you have?" Seven asked. On second thought, let it be a surprise. I'm willing to kill you as many times as it takes. Killing me won't ensure your victory. Bristol said. No matter how many laws you enforce, how many lies you tell, or how many books you burn, your day of reckoning will come. Your people are much smarter and stronger than you think they are. With or without me, it's only a matter of time before they get sick of your tyranny and rise against you. And that's where you're wrong, he said. You see, a successful resistance takes courage. It takes intelligence. It takes resilience. And people aren't born with those qualities. No. Bravery has to be inspired. Brilliance has to be championed. And boldness has to be encouraged. But if you destroy everything that nurtures a society, then society will never gain the tools to destroy you. And nothing will dishearten people more than seeing the great fairy godmothers held on a pike.
Dishearten this, you walking sunburn,
Lucy shouted. Swoosh! Lucy shoved the nearest bookcase with all her might, and wham! The bookcase fell directly onto the top of the Emperor, pinning him to the floor. He moaned and struggled to free himself, but the bookcase was too heavy.
Now that's how you improvise, Lucy said. Sorry, Bristol, you didn't want to keep chatting with him, did you?
I'm just jealous I didn't think of that first,
Bristol said. Well, don't just stand there, kill them,
Seven screamed at his men. The clansmen charged towards Bristol and Lucy with their swords and spears raised. Lucy hit the floor with a fist and sent a giant ripple through the carpet. The ripple made all the bookcases in the aisles begin to teeter, and one by one the bookcases came crashing down on the clansmen. Nice one, Bristol told Lucy.
Thanks, she said. I did the same thing to escape a distillery once, but that's a story for another time. Let's get out of here.
Bristol and Lucy raced down the aisle, leaping over bookcases that the clansmen were trapped beneath. Unfortunately, Lucy's ripple was much more powerful than she'd intended, and she and Bristol hurried into the next aisle as the bookcases began crashing down all around them. Lucy, you have to make this stop, Bristol said.
You know I just can't stop anything once I start it, Lucy said. The magic is like eating junk food.
Without time to think, the only thing the girls could do was run while the falling bookcases chased them through the third floor like a giant game of dominoes. As they reached the stairs, bookcases began toppling over the railings. The cases crashed into the lower levels, triggering a similar domino effect all across the aisles in the library. By the time Bristol and Lucy reached the ground floor, every bookcase in the library had been knocked over. Lucy let out a nervous laugh as she eyed the wreckage.
I bet you're glad you aren't the maid anymore, she said.
The girls dashed to the exit, but as soon as they reached the double doors, they came to an abrupt halt. The library was surrounded by the army of the dead. Bristol and Lucy were trapped. Once the girls were spotted, the dead soldiers charged inside.
Gosh, these guys are like cockroaches. They keep coming and coming, Lucy said. How are we going to get past them?
Bristol glanced around the library looking for a quick escape, and her eyes landed on the glass dome in the ceiling. Quick, hold on to my waist, she said.
Why? Lucy asked.
It's my turn to improvise. Lucy wrapped her arms around Bristol's waist as tightly as she could, and Bristol raised her hand toward the ceiling, and a bright light blasted from the tip of her wand. The light engulfed Bristol and Lucy, and suddenly they shot through the dome like a shooting star. The dome shattered, and the glass rained down on the skeleton soldiers. On the third floor, the High Commander and the Righteous Brotherhood began to crawl free from underneath the bookcases. Once they were free, the clansmen raced to the Emperor and helped push the bookcase off his body.
My lord, are you hurt?
The High Commander asked.
I'm fine, the Emperor said as he got to his feet. Where is the fairy godmother? She and her accomplice escaped the library, sir.
They what? The news sent the Emperor into a furious rage. He grabbed the High Commander by the shoulders and pushed him through the nearest window.
The High Commander has been dismissed, Seven said, and then pointed to the nearest clansman. You're the new High Commander. Just disappoint me and you'll suffer the same fate. Is that understood?
The clansman's eyes grew wide under his silver mask, and he dived into a quick bow.
I'm at your service, my lord, he said with a nervous quiver in his voice.
Good, Seven said. Now, the fairy godmother's up to something. I can feel it in my bones. We have to figure out what she's planning.
Well, what was she doing in the library, sir?
Isn't it obvious? Seven snapped. She's looking for a book.
Well, but what sort of book, sir?
The Emperor gazed through the broken window as if he might find the answers in the desolate town square, but nothing came to him.
I don't know, he said, but whatever it is, we need to find it before she does. Well then.
Well then. So it begins. And so it begins. I just want to go on record as saying Lucy is my everything. She's my heart, she's my soul, she's my spirit. Someone was not hugged enough as a child, it's true. Yeah. He's real angry, you guys. He's real angry. Lucy is... I love that Lucy was Justice Evergreen in disguise. That's amazing. The whole thing is amazing. It's genius. I love it. He's great as always. Great start. A+ for Chris as always. In case you guys didn't know, we do have Roll for Slime tonight. If you are at a Roll for Slime or custom level on Patreon, feel free to go and sign up for those spots. I think we have about 4 spots left for tonight, which is great. I don't know why, but I envision Seven looking like Lord Farquaad. He can't though, because Bristol was into him and thought that he was cute. So he has to be good looking. Terrific start. Way to start off the 3rd book. I know, right? Way to start off the 3rd book. Hey, Mary. So that is the whole kit and caboodle. I will see you all tonight. I hope you have a great rest of your day until then. And grab bags will start mailing out today, I guess is the only other point of order. Will Roll for Slime be on TikTok? Yes, Roll for Slime tonight is on TikTok because so far no one has signed up for After Dark. I need Bristol to see her family again. Well, she must have seen her family already because they were, I was super, oh, that's okay, Danielle. You can do yours next week or something. They are safe, so she must have seen them, I assume, although I don't really know. But they are safe somewhere, so that's good, right? They're fine. That's all we know. All we know is that they're good. And they weren't on the stage, clearly. That was pretty obvious. I was like, these don't sound like them. Yeah, she has them safe. I just need to see it. Yeah, for sure. I will have to see the books on YouTube. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I'm having an issue with YouTube, but they're supposed to email me today about that. All right, I will see you all later. I hope you have a great rest of your day until Roll for Slime. Bye, guys.